I feel like we have to start TNA. That's the lead story of the day.
That's got to be the lead story. Sorry, NWA, you're getting bumped, baby. So Impact Bound for Glory was last night. It was, we'll get to a review of the show, of course. But at the end of the show, when I thought, I was like, oh, there's still something playing. Is this the preview for Bound for Glory? Did I miss something? No. They're a bunch of wrestlers walking through a forest, going to a lake, uncovering Frankie Kazarian, super wet leather, uncovering a red box. Then everyone kind of cuts promos about vague somethings for a little bit. And then we gets revealed that the box is labeled TNA. It opens, bright lights, nostalgic memories of the TNA of old come flooding out of this box. It sounds something straight out of the Hardy compound. But ultimately, they announced that TNA Wrestling is back, that the show Hard to Kill, which will be in January, is going to be formally talked about as TNA Wrestling presents Hard to Kill. Again, what this means, folks, is for the next several months, it's still going to be Impact. But as of January, they will be formally known back again, TNA Wrestling. Scotty, what do you think about this decision? Talk to the people.
All I can say is TNA, TNA, TNA. Let's go. Let's go. Who cares? Who cares, right? Like, why do I give a shit if it's called TNA or Impact? TNA is more fun, right? There's a lot of people that have not stopped calling this company TNA. Just the truth. And nostalgia is a son of a bitch, right? Like, that is more important to people, I think, than almost anything else. You know, it's like that has been some of the most interest over the past couple of years when they plan to run the TNA flashback show back when was it? Right when COVID happened, and obviously that didn't get to happen. And then they did the Impact 1000 and brought back pretty much every TNA person under the sun. They brought the TNA World Championship back. Like they've never gone fully away from it, even if they did a name, which fine, because ultimately I think it's a good decision. I know some people are like, you know, you work so hard to get rid of the name, and there's a lot of negatives that come with the TNA name. But to me, it's what most people reference you to. So if that's going to happen, embrace it and create a new era of TNA, because while there is a lot of bad that comes with TNA, there's also a lot of good. I don't know if Impact had as many memorable moments as a TNA did, so I understand why they go back to it. And most importantly, Alex Shelley can now be recognized as TNA World Champion, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, this sort of nostalgia trip remains to be seen how it's going to play out, right? Like, you're right. I think TNA has a lot of good memories as well that people are nostalgic on. I mean, just look at Garrett Kidney on Twitter. You know, there's a lot of good spots. You know, there's the Scott Steiner promo. There's the Kurt Angle debut. There's the steel cage tag team bout that we watched on patreon.com/counterpod that we discussed on that show.
Paste it in your mind.
Of course. No, the Hurricane Run off the steel cage, that spot, or whatever that was. That's glorious. That's glorious stuff right there. The turn, speaking of glorious, the turn of Bobby Roode on James Storm breaking up Beer Money. That was a good spot. At the same breath, you know, TNA does have some negativity to the brand. Some would argue that the brand got so poisoned that was the reason that they changed it to Impact in the first place. But you are also right. This incarnation of Impact Wrestling with what's his face? Who's the guy at helm of Impact Wrestling? I'm blanking on his name. Scott D'Amore. With Scott D'Amore at the helm, it felt like it was almost just like a matter of time for TNA to come back. This was something that they never wanted to forget, the TNA roots.
Yeah.
As you stated, the TNA championship came back a couple years ago and then it went away again. So many different aspects of TNA that they continuously bring back. I saw one of the reasons that they considered going back to TNA wrestling is because Impact 1000 taping was so well received that they figured it would be a good time maybe to do TNA. It's an interesting move for them. It's the question really of whether or not the nostalgia of TNA can outweigh any sort of negativity that the brand might have had. But that brand negativity goes away through time. Impact has served itself well, I think. I think Impact this year has been underrated for a large part. And I think TNA coming back in 2024, it's going to be a wild ride, folks. The returns. Does this mean that part of the retirement tour for Sting is going to be back in total nonstop action?
I hope so. That'd be awesome.
I think it'll be pretty cool.
I thought about it this way too. It's like more people were talking about TNA yesterday / Impact than I think I've ever seen them. Truthfully, like even when it was just Impact, earlier in the night when it was just Bound for Glory, I thought a lot more people were talking about it, and that probably has a lot to do with Ospreay being on the show and what comes with that. But this was the perfect show to announce it, and now I think there's real excitement heading into next year for this company, one way or the other, because this is the way people see it, right? They look at it as, oh, this is either going to be, really cool and maybe, because I think the TNA designs and the art, which, Fightful reported or PW Insider reported, they're bringing back they're going to have brand new titles. They're going to have brand new set, brand new presentation, pretty much everything you want to hear when you're completely restructuring. And truthfully, to me, I thought the Impact look got pretty bland through the years. Like, I just thought it got more and more bland. It didn't stand out off a page to me. And I think what's so exciting now about this is that we'll get to see what the new era, will be. I think they have the right people in place to make a new era. And again, it's more excitement for this company that otherwise has not often always been there. I think they've done a good job of creating some buzz this year. And I think now that next year we're going to have it kick off with TNA returning, I think it's very exciting for a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree. So there was, like you said, that article that went out about it. I'm just reading off what you sent to me in Slack, so I don't know where you.
That one was Fightful. PW Insider had a full one, which I will find right now.
Okay, well, at least the Fightful one, what they talked about here was some of the reasons why they went back to TNA wrestling. One of the reasons given regarding the TNA name change, we were told, was for general buzz and to unite the history of the company, which has been known as TNA, NWA, TNA, Impact, and Global Force Wrestling. We're told that a lot of planning went into this, and actually it was considered as far back as the summer, but kept getting pushed back. There will be a complete presentation shift in this one I think is very interesting, by the way. There will be a complete presentation shift in the program from venues to production to logos and look. We all could have assumed logos and look. Production is interesting. I remember
a little bit back about production changing. Do you remember that?
I remember an article a couple months ago that talked about how that Impact TNA was going to change up the production a little bit. Turns out it's probably because of this. But I think also what's very interesting to me, Scotty, is shift in terms of venues. Is Impact TNA, this company, Impact TNA, looking to maybe go into bigger venues. I mean, they did sell out the Cicero, Illinois spot last night. I don't think that's a huge venue.
I think we have different thoughts immediately when we hear venues.
What do you think?
I thought we're going back to the Impact Zone, baby.
And back to the fairgrounds that are no longer exist, but we'll build a building. And
go back to Universal, right?
Yeah, you can go back to Universal. You can go back to the Impact Zone.
I would have the first tapings. I would have the first. This might be a hot take, but I'd have the first tapings at the Impact Zone. Then you can branch back out. But I think that would be a lot of fun.
Do you think? So, assuming they don't, they can still go back to the Impact Zone. I guess it is true. I guess what I'm trying to ask is, do you think there's a chance that they are going to try to look to getting bigger venues? Do you think
they should?
Do you think they're going to try to do like early AEW with like basketball arenas, college basketball arenas?
I don't know if they're going to go that big. I think
I don't know about that one.
I think baby steps here. Like what are they doing now? Like just under 1,000?
Well, let's see. Let's see what the last night's little spot here was.
There's no way it was announced, but
that's Impact Turning Point. No, but it probably wasn't announced. But I should. You know what I should probably do? I should probably look up what's his face. The tickets, WrestleTix.
I don't think
WrestleTix probably had it. I know WrestleTix announced that it was sold out at some point. But I'll see if I can find it. But yeah, no. I think
it's sub 1,000.
Sub 1,000.
Yeah.
Dude, that doesn't bode well for going up venue size.
For me, I'm going to like just a bit bigger, like try to run at the most like Hammerstein.
Yeah, they could do that if they wanted to try.
Aim for those type venues because I think those type venues are more exciting. Don't do the 2,300 arena for the love of God. Please don't do that. I can't stand that place anymore because the only promotion that runs it is MLW. And it's like very boring looking. I also don't
about MLW. MLW, they're major league. That's a major league destination.
That's your promotion. That's your home promotion.
That's my home. That's my home. Despite living in Georgia, that's my home promotion.
Damn right. I'm trying to see what this venue holds, and it doesn't really tell me anything. But okay, great. I'm done.
Great.
I don't care.
I couldn't find anything on WrestleTix either. So that was
just everyone that's listening or plans to listen to this, don't act like that didn't happen. The real news is that the 6-sided ring isn't coming back.
Yeah, 6-sided ring's not coming back. I believe I saw.
So is it really TNA?
Yeah.
Is Dixie Carter coming back?
It's amazing to me how much the 6-sided ring of TNA plays an impact on TNA. Like if you go and watch the first pay-per-views of NWA TNA, there is no 6-sided ring. That is a late stage addition to TNA at that time. The
TNA that everyone loves had the 6-sided ring.
Yeah, that is when it was probably arguably the most popular, and so everyone's like, "Where's that TNA?
Don't bring it back."
Yeah,
like the only time I'd ever bring back the 6-sided ring is for like a 1-show special, but wrestlers hate the 6-sided ring, so you probably should not bring back the 6-sided ring.
No, I think that is a no-fly zone for me. That is certainly a no-fly zone for me. I thought I turned that volume off.
It's time for the new belts because I hate the current belts.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't like new belts.
I don't like the red on every single belt.
Interesting.
Yeah, TNA has some of the best belt designs too. So here's the hoping.
I am interested to see how this is going to work out. I don't know if it's going to be a good idea or a bad idea. I think it's going to be a fine idea. I think there are people that are certainly dunking on the TNA wrestling coming back. I don't blame you for dunking on TNA for coming back at all. It is definitely
expected, right?
Like I said at the top, I think it was coming down the line. I think it was sort of just a matter of time. Looking back on it, the look at the clues, Mr. Snowman, policeman, whatever. I think if you look back on it, it's like, oh yeah, this was probably inevitable. Just based on like how many instances of TNA they kept alive purposefully. So I don't know. I think it'll be fine. It's at the end of the day, the branding, I don't think the branding will necessarily hurt TNA. I think if anything, the branding, I think they're looking at it as at this point, I don't think the TNA branding is necessarily going to hurt them. I think if anything, it could bring people in nostalgically speaking, and that could be a good thing because as we just talked about, the most popular this in the past 20 years or whatever of this brand was TNA, that six-sided ring. So that could bring people in. And at the end of the day, Impact, like I said at the top, has sort of been like an underrated brand. They've developed a really good roster of people who have stuck around. So if you change the window dressing to TNA, you still have a great foundation of a house with that roster, a great foundation of Scott D'Amore at the helm. They have been on, we talked about it like last year where they had like those waves of good and bad, where like every pay-per-view cycle, either good Impact Wrestling, bad Impact Wrestling, just kind of cycling between the two. Now that they're just, it feels like they've been on the up and up for quite a while. I haven't seen them dip down in a while.
I think the most important part is who's chanting Impact, baby? No one.
No.
Not a soul. You're chanting TNA, like AEW, like things like that. Like I think like on the surface that's not like a big deal, but even then, like just that little thing could do them a lot of good. And I think hopefully, and my biggest gripe with Impact for the longest time was like the noise of the crowd, because like last night felt like a different night for that company overall, and I'm not saying because they decided to become TNA again, but it just felt like the most lively crowd they've had in years.
Yeah,
like a part of it might be that I could just hear them better. Maybe the production has already come through, but if we use Bound for Glory as the launching point to this next era of this company, I think that's a great way to start it off. And I'm hopeful because we've come on this show many times over the past 2 years that we've been doing this, and we've talked about how this company more often than not is a pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get match of the year contenders every show, or maybe any show until recently. But you're going to get solid couple hours of pro wrestling. Maybe usually one awful match that features a certain person.
A certain bully, maybe.
but it's the fact that they tried, and I think overall in time, this is going to be interesting. That's that, and that more importantly than anything else is probably the best thing for TNA. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
I'll take that 9 times out of 10 if I'm a company.
Yeah, I think Impact has done a good job, and TNA I think will just hopefully bring in returning TNA fans. I think that's the biggest probable thing. I don't think realistically speaking, Scotty, that going to TNA is going to turn away people that are currently watching Impact.
Absolutely not.
I think if you're
anything, it brings back people.
I think if you're one of the people that's like, oh, TNA, I'm not watching this product system anymore, I don't think you were actually really watching the product, to be fair.
That'd be psycho behavior.
I think it's doesn't matter. The wrestlers are still good. They still have good connections with New Japan. I think it's a fine thing for TNA. I don't think this is bad in any capacity. I think it'll be fine. I think I am like 75% pro Of course, you have to put a little bit of thing, but it's like at the end of the day, also, by the way, I do want to make this clear. At the end of the day, the TNA branding is returning. Vince Russo, Jeff Jarrett, all those guys in the back, Eric Bischoff,
Carter, they're not coming back.
They're not returning. These people aren't coming back. It feels like when people think of TNA, they're like, oh no, all the crappy booking decisions are coming back too. No, they're not. It's the same thing, just branded as TNA. So that being said, it'll be fine. If you liked what Impact was doing, well, guess what? Now it's called TNA. It's gonna be fine, folks. But that's all my thoughts on that.
My last thing is that I like that TNA is back, because they would go back so at least a few times a year. They would go back to like TNA staples, and it'd just be weird. Like even like the X Division match, I'd just be like, it's not the same. Now it's like, all right, let's see. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the fact that there's just a name change. But I like to see what production looks like. I like to see all that. So should be a lot of fun when we get there.